Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thank you very much for watching today's video. Got a good one for you guys today. We're going to be talking about everything you need to know about Carolina rigs. I'm going to go through how to set one up, how to rig one up, how to work it. We're going to go through the whole process A to Z. So it may take a little while, so get comfortable and enjoy the video here. Real quick guys, before we get started, I just wanted to give you guys a reminder about we got our Fish the Moment fall lake map breakdowns up on the website, guys. If you're interested in getting some good spots for this coming fall on all your favorite lakes across the country, I'll put the lake map breakdown link in the description. That's a good way to support the channel there. And also please please check out our view product shopping tab at the bottom of the screen. You'll see 30 products I put in there, guys. And if you guys purchase one of those products that I put up there, it's another good way to support what's going on here. So much appreciated there. Okay guys, I'm going to take you through it. We're gonna go through this whole thing from the start to finish about how I rig a Carolina rig up. Then we're going to talk about how to work it and maybe a little bit about some areas to fish it in. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about the first thing you do. You got to get your line. Usually guys, I use 17-pound test, Seaguar and Vizx 17-pound test for my main line that I'm casting with. And a lot of times I'll use the same 17-pound test for my leader material. But usually I'll go down a couple pound tests, maybe down to 15-pound tests, but usually 17 is my main line there. So we're going to start out on the main line first, how to rig it up and everything, and then we're going to get to the other end of it here. So anyway, the first thing you have to do with this is let me talk a little bit about the weights and everything first of all. There's a lot of different weights you can use as far as sizes goes on a Carolina rig. But most of the time, I like a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce weight, simply because you're not concerned. I'm tying a knot here, guys, if you wonder what I'm doing. But if you're not really concerned about the rate of fall, so the main thing that you want on this, guys, is you want to keep contact with the bottom. So therefore, that's why you can use the 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce weight. And the 3/4 ounce weight, I like it because it allows you to make a longer cast. You can cast it in pretty windy conditions. Now the weight that I like, guys, I like a brass weight, some type of a brass Carolina rig weight. Find one here, show you what it looks like. That's what they look like there. Now the reason I like the brass is that it's a little bit noisier. It makes a little bit louder clacking noise, and I think that tends to attract the fish. God, I got all over my shirt here, so I can see it in there. So that's one of the pieces of advice I'd give you guys is get some of the brass weight. So I got a 3/4 ounce brass weight here. It's going to go on my line first. Just like that. Okay, now the second thing that goes on my line is going to be one bead here. So I like colored beads, different colors of them. So normally what I'll do is I'll put one red on there and then one different other color. So I've got red bead goes on next here, like this. Next thing that goes on, guys, is this is a brass spacer here. Now this is what I call a clacker. This is what gives you some extra noise. I really think that this helps out quite a bit. I don't know if you can see it there. It's just a little clacker thing. I'll put that on. So at this point, it looks like that. And then the next one, we go to the second bead, and I usually like to use some type of a yellow on it. So I'll put that on there. And then this is the setup so far right here. We've got the clacking bead. Now the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put my barrel swivel on. So barrel swivel usually goes on with a Palomar knot. One of the things about putting barrel swivels on, guys, it's hard to tie certain knots like double uni knots or something like that, simply because of the way the line hangs on it. So just a simple Palomar knot works really good on it. You don't break them off. I still use a Palomar in some situations when I'm not pitching and flipping, simply because it's so quick and it is a pretty good knot. So I'll show you what I got set up so far here. So this is the way it looks. This is my main line setup. My main line is all done here. And you can see how noisy this is, guys. You can hear it there in the camera. Can't really hear it too much in the camera, but anyway, guys, it is fairly noisy when it gets moving back and forth like that. So that's the main line. Now the next, I'm gonna have my leader material. And most of the time for the leader material, I'm using, like I said, 15-pound test, maybe 17 at the time. And as far as the length on it, guys, that really depends on the type of structure you're fishing. If you're, most of the time, like a 3-foot leader is gonna work pretty good, but sometimes, like if you're fishing around grass, I've used as long as a 5 or 6 feet leader. And sometimes if, you know, I'm really trying to cover a lot of water with it, I'll use a leader maybe 2 foot long. But for the most part, I like about a 3-foot leader there. So the next thing I do is I'm gonna tie my hook on before I tie it on. And the reason you tie your hook on first is it allows you to gauge the distance of your leader a little bit easier than if you tie it onto your barrel swivel. So got my hook on here. I'll tell you one thing about hooks, guys. This is really important. This is one of the most important parts of the video here. Is you do not want to use too big of a hook. In fact, you want to use a small hook on a Carolina rig. Now, the person that got me doing this, there was used to be very well-known angler, Jim Nolan from Arkansas. He worked for Ranger Boats for years. He won a Bassmaster tournament at Sam Rayburn Lake on a Carolina rig. And Jim always threw a little bitty hook on there, like a little bitty 1 or 2-aught hook on his Carolina rig. And most people were throwing 3, 4, 5-aughts on there. But guys, you will get a lot more bites and land a lot more fish by using a smaller hook like this. Now this is the 2-aught Gamakatsu right here. So I've got that set up there. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie it to my barrel swivel. Now this is where it's tricky, guys, because you can't tie a Palomar knot since you got this one end right over here. You don't have it free to do that. So on this situation, I'm gonna use a double clinch knot. So I'm gonna come in like this, and I'm gonna come through twice like this. So I've doubled it up right there. See, I got my line doubled around it. And then the clinch knot, pretty easy. You're just twisting it like that. This is the first knot I learned to tie, actually. And you take this part of the line and you come through the bottom of the line with it like that. And then you come through that loop that you've created with your finger, like that. And there you've got your clinch knot. So there's your rig. And then the final thing with it is put your bait on there. Most of the time I'm using a lizard or some type of a centipede. Like that. And like I said, most of the time I'm hooking it in the side of the lizard like that. So there it goes, man. That's my total setup. Got the Carolina rig there, got my lizard set up right there, about a 3-foot leader on it. That's the setup with it. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit now about working the bait. As far as the Carolina rig, what you want to do is you throw it out there and make your long cast, let it hit to the bottom. And once it hits the bottom, there's two ways that I work it. The number one way that I work it is just like I'm working at some type of a Texas rig. A lot of guys like to drag it on the side like that, but I'll throw it out there and I'll just work it slow like that, keeping the weight on the bottom. Sometimes I'll bring it off to the side, but it seems like I get more bites if I just work it like that, just crawling it along the bottom. I see a lot of guys, they'll throw it out there and they'll just drag it sideways like that, and you can catch them like that, but I prefer just working it like that. And as far as the areas you want to fish it, guys, you can't go wrong with points. Points are like a great area to fish, Carolina rigs in, holes fish all the time, and just try to concentrate the depth, whatever the time of year is. So anyway, hope it helps out, guys. We'll talk later. See you.